Hi, Theani. Hi, Vanessa. Welcome back. We're so glad you both could join us today.
Yes.
It's too bad Victoria couldn't be here with us.
Yes.
We miss her. But we're really excited to dive into your English class notes with you both
Yes.
from February 24th. With us today, we have an expert in all things language.
That's me.
They're here to help us break everything down clearly.
Absolutely. I'm happy to help.
Okay, let's get started. Let's start with a new vocabulary.
Sounds good.
The first word on the list is early.
Okay.
Early means before the usual time.
Uh-huh.
For example, the bird woke up early to sing its song.
That's a great example. Another example could be, we need to leave early to catch the bus.
Okay, that makes sense. So early means to do something before the expected time.
Exactly.
What about the word late?
Late is the opposite of early. It means after the expected time.
Okay.
Like, the movie started late because of technical difficulties.
Ah, so if you arrive at the movie theater after the movie has already started, you're late. Okay.
Now, how about love and hate? These are strong words for feelings. When you love something or someone, you have a deep affection for it. When you hate something, you have a strong dislike for it.
For example, I love spending time with my family,
Yes,
but I hate doing the dishes.
those are great examples.
Okay.
Next up, we have avenue and street.
Okay.
Both words describe types of roads, but there's a slight difference.
Tell us about that difference.
So an avenue is usually a wide road, often with trees on either side.
Okay.
Think of a grand boulevard, like Pennsylvania Avenue.
Okay.
A street is a more general term for any road in a city or town.
So if you live on a big, wide road with lots of trees, you might say you live on an avenue. But if it's a smaller road without trees, it's probably just called a street.
Precisely.
Okay.
Moving on, we have lucky and luck.
Luck.
Someone is lucky when they have good fortune.
Uh-huh.
Luck itself is the force that brings that good fortune.
So you might say, I was lucky to find a parking spot so easily. Or, it was pure luck that I won the raffle.
That's right. Next on the list are annoying and boring. Something annoying is irritating or bothersome, while something boring is dull and uninteresting.
For example, the sound of nails scratching a chalkboard is annoying. And a lecture that goes on forever without any pictures can be boring.
Okay, let's move on to some food words now. We have banana, a long yellow fruit, milk, a white drink, coffee, a brown drink, eggs, a food that comes from chickens, omelet, a dish made with eggs, scrambled, a way to cook eggs, boiled, another way to cook eggs, and yogurt, a creamy food made from milk.
Those are all delicious breakfast foods.
Yeah, I like those.
I love having scrambled eggs with toast and a glass of milk in the morning.
Me too. Next, we have vitamin, which is something in food that's good for your health.
Okay.
And avocado, a green fruit with a large seed inside.
I love adding avocado to my salads.
Yes.
It makes them so creamy and delicious.
Moving on, we have some more food words. Rice, beans, salad, potato, and steak. These are common ingredients you can find in meals all over the world.
What a variety. Now, what about delay?
Okay.
What does that word mean?
A delay means a postponement or holdup.
Okay.
For instance, the train was delayed because of bad weather.
Ah. So if the train is supposed to arrive at 10 a.m.,
Yes.
but it doesn't arrive until 10:30 a.m., you could say there was a 30-minute delay.
Exactly. Next, we have body condition and good health. Body condition simply refers to the physical state of your body. Good health means you are free from illness or injury.
So if you eat well, exercise regularly, and get enough sleep, you're likely to have good health.
That's right. Now let's look at some words related to being sick. Influenza virus is the virus that causes the flu.
Okay.
And to sneeze is what happens when you forcefully expel air from your nose and mouth.
When you have a cold, you often sneeze.
You also might have a swollen face, which means it is larger than usual, perhaps puffy. You might also have a headache, which is a pain in your head, a stomach ache, which is a pain in your stomach, or diarrhea, which means you have to go to the bathroom very frequently.
Those are all common symptoms of being sick.
Now we're going to switch gears and look at some verbs. Verbs are action words.
Okay.
First up is cook, which means to prepare food by heating it.
I love to cook dinner for my family on the weekends.
What about eat?
Okay.
Eat means to consume food.
Okay.
For example, I eat breakfast every morning.
That's an important one. We all need to eat. What about vomit?
Vomit means to expel the contents of your stomach through your mouth.
Yeah.
It's not very pleasant, but sometimes it happens when you're sick.
Now let's talk about sleep. Sleep means to rest in a state of unconsciousness.
We all need to sleep every night to recharge our bodies and minds.
And wake up means to stop sleeping.
Right.
What time do you usually wake up in the morning?
I usually wake up around 7 a.m. What about you?
I'm a bit of an early bird. I usually wake up around 6 a.m.
Okay. Moving on to some more emotional words. We have cry, which means to shed tears. People cry when they're sad, but also when they're happy or overwhelmed.
It's okay to cry.
Yes, it's good.
It's a natural human emotion. And the opposite of crying is smiling, which means to form an expression of happiness with your mouth.
It's nice to see a friendly smile. It can brighten up someone's day.
Next, we have read, which means to look at and understand written words.
Okay.
What do you like to read in your free time?
I enjoy reading novels and magazines. What about you?
I like to read biographies and articles about current events.
Okay.
And what about write? That means to form letters or words on a surface like paper.
I like to write in a journal every day. It helps me process my thoughts and feelings.
That's great.
What do you like to write?
I enjoy writing stories and poems. Now, for a more difficult topic, we have the word die.
Okay.
This means to stop living.
It's a natural part of life, but it can be a sad and difficult subject to talk about.
Okay, let's move on to some more action words. Listen means to pay attention to sound. Put means to place something in a particular location. Tidy up means to make a place neat and orderly.
For example, you might tidy up your room by putting away your clothes and making your bed.
And organize means to arrange things in a systematic way. It's important to organize your time and your belongings so that you can be more efficient.
I agree. Now, what about draw?
Draw means to create a picture or design using lines. Do you like to draw?
I do. I find it very relaxing.
What about drink? That one means to consume liquid.
Yes.
For example, I drink water throughout the day to stay hydrated.
Like means to find something agreeable or enjoyable. For example, I like spending time outdoors, or I like eating ice cream.
And watch means to look at something attentively. What's your favorite show to watch on TV?
I enjoy watching documentaries and comedies. What about you?
I like to watch historical dramas and reality shows. Now, what about open? Open means to move something so that it no longer covers an opening.
For example, you might open a door or open a window.
And run means to move quickly on foot.
Right.
Do you like to run for exercise?
I do. I find it's a great way to clear my head. What about you?
I prefer to walk.
Okay.
But I admire people who enjoy running.
What about travel? That means to go from one place to another. Have you traveled to any other countries?
I have. I've been to several countries in Europe and Asia. What about you?
I've also done some traveling, but I'd love to see more of the world.
That's wonderful.
Now for some more action words. Walk, which means to move at a regular pace on foot.
Okay.
Sit, which means to rest with your weight on your buttocks.
Okay.
And stand up, which means to rise to an upright position.
We already covered love and hate earlier.
Yes.
But it's good to see them again as a reminder.
Now, what about the word leave? Leave means to go away from a place. For instance, I have to leave for work early tomorrow morning.
And take off means to remove something, like clothing.
Yes.
You might say, please take off your shoes before you enter the house.
Disorganize means to make something messy or disordered.
Okay.
For example, if you spill all your papers on the floor, you might say you've disorganized them.
The opposite of disorganize is organize, which we talked about earlier.
That's right. And next we have stay, which means to remain in a particular place.
Okay.
For example, I'm going to stay home tonight and watch a movie.
Light up means to illuminate something. You might say, let's light up the fireplace to make the room cozy.
Turn on means to start the operation of something. For example, can you turn on the light, please?
And turn off means to stop the operation of something.
Right.
You might say, please turn off the TV when you're finished watching it.
Wow, we covered a lot of vocabulary words today.
We did.
It's important to review these regularly so that you can start using them in your own conversations.
I agree. Practice makes perfect. Now, I think it's time to move on to the grammar section of your class notes.
Okay.
Are you ready, Thayani and Vanessa?
Yes, let's move on to grammar. In your notes, there are 4 main grammar rules highlighted.
Okay.
The first one is called the Back to the Future rule.
Okay. The Back to the Future rule. What's that all about?
This rule helps you understand how to use auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are also called helping verbs.
Okay.
They help the main verb in a sentence.
So what are some examples of auxiliary verbs?
The main ones are do, did, and will. Do is used for the present tense, did is for the past tense, and will is for the future tense.
That sounds a bit like time travel.
Yes.
Going back and forth between past, present, and future.
Exactly. That's why it's called the back to the future rule.
Okay.
It's all about understanding how to use these helping verbs to talk about different times.
How would we use these verbs in a sentence?
For example, if you want to ask someone if they ate breakfast this morning, you would say, did you eat breakfast?
Okay.
That's using did for the past tense.
Huh.
If you want to ask someone if they are going to eat breakfast tomorrow, you would say, will you eat breakfast?
Okay.
That's using will for the future tense.
Okay, I think I'm starting to understand how the back to the future rule works. It helps us form questions about the past, present, and future. What about the next grammar rule?
The next one is called the pool rule. It helps you form different types of sentences: interrogative, affirmative, and negative sentences.
Those sound like big words. Can you break them down for us?
Of course. Interrogative sentences are questions.
Okay.
Affirmative sentences are statements. And negative sentences express the opposite of an affirmative sentence.
So the pool rule helps us form questions, make statements, and say what's not true. Can you give us an example of each type of sentence?
Let's use the verb swim. An interrogative sentence would be, do you swim? An affirmative sentence would be, I swim. And a negative sentence would be, I don't swim.
Ah, I see. So the pool rule helps us structure our sentences correctly. What's the next rule?
Next up is the barrel rule. This rule helps you understand how to conjugate verbs in the third person singular in the present simple tense.
Whoa, that sounds complicated. What does conjugate mean?
It simply means changing the form of a verb to match the subject of the sentence.
Okay.
In this case, the third person singular means he, she, or it.
Okay.
The present simple tense is used to talk about things that happen regularly.
Okay. So the barrel rule helps us use the right verb form when we're talking about someone else doing something regularly. Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's take the verb walk. If you want to say that a girl walks to school every day, you would say, she walks to school every day.
Uh-huh.
Notice how the verb walk changes to walks because we are talking about she, which is the third person singular.
Ah, so that's why we add the S to the end of the verb. The barrel rule helps us remember that. What's the last grammar rule on the list?
The last rule is the elephant rule. This rule covers two important concepts: forming plurals and dealing with verbs in the present simple tense for the third person singular, like we just talked about with the barrel rule.
So it's like a double duty rule.
Yes.
Tell us more about forming plurals. What does that mean?
When we talk about more than one thing, we usually add an S to the end of the word.
Okay.
For example, one book becomes many books. One cat becomes many cats.
Ah, that's pretty simple. We just add an S to make a word plural. What about the second part of the rule?
It reminds us that when we use he, she, or it as the subject of a sentence in the present tense, we need to add an S to the verb, just like we talked about with the barrel rule.
Right. So it's kind of like the elephant rule is a combination of the plural S and the third person singular S. That's a lot to remember.
Yes, it is. But with practice, it will become second nature.
Those 4 grammar rules are quite a bit to take in, but they're all important for speaking and writing English correctly. Now let's move on to the negative sentences section of your notes. What are negative sentences all about?
Negative sentences are sentences that express the opposite of something. It's basically saying that something is not happening.
So how do we form negative sentences in English?
We often use the words don't or doesn't to create negative sentences.
Okay.
For example, if you want to say that you don't like coffee, you would say, I don't like coffee. Notice how we use don't to make the sentence negative?
Okay. That's pretty straightforward. We just add don't before the verb. What about doesn't? When do we use that?
We use doesn't with the third person singular pronouns, he, she, and it. For instance, if you want to say that your friend doesn't eat meat, you would say, she doesn't eat meat.
Ah, so we use don't for I, you, we, and they, and we use doesn't for he, she, and it. Got it. Now I think it's time to move on to the writing section of your class notes.
Yes. Let's take a look at how you're putting your grammar and vocabulary into practice.
Finney, your first writing sample is about Vanessa. You wrote, she does cook for your family. She does cook every day. She does video games. She is streamer. She does organize your room. She does drink water every day.
That's a good start, Fanny. You're using the verbs correctly, but there are a few things we can improve. The teacher corrected your writing to. She cooks for her family. She cooks every day. She plays video games. She is a streamer. She organizes her room. She drinks water every day.
I see. The teacher removed the extra does from each sentence. Why is that?
We don't need to use does when we're making simple statements about what someone does regularly. We can just say, she cooks, she plays, she organizes, and she drinks.
That makes sense. It's a common mistake to overuse does. We just need to remember to use it for questions and negative sentences, but not for simple statements.
Exactly. Now, Sandy, your second writing sample is, she is very lucky because I have an annoying neighbor.
You're using the words lucky and annoying correctly here.
Yes.
But the teacher made a small correction.
The teacher added N before annoying neighbor. Do you know why?
It's because annoying starts with a vowel sound.
Right.
When a word starts with a vowel sound, we use an before it.
Yes, exactly. So the corrected sentence is, she is very lucky because I have an annoying neighbor.
That's a great example of how paying attention to small details can make a big difference in your writing.
Now, Vanessa, let's take a look at your writing. The teacher wanted you to practice forming questions using the new verbs. You wrote, do you drink vodka every day? Do you like to read books? And do you hate your neighbor?
These are all excellent questions, Vanessa. You use the correct format with do you, followed by the verb.
And I like how you asked a variety of questions, from everyday activities to more personal feelings. It shows you're thinking creatively.
Remember, it's okay to ask funny or unusual questions, too. It can make your conversations more interesting.
Now, before we move on, let's see if Vanessa can practice using some of the new vocabulary and grammar to describe Victoria.
Vanessa, can you tell us something about Victoria using some of the words we learned today? You can talk about what she likes, what she does, or anything else that comes to mind. Take your time, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
We're here to help you.
That was great, Vanessa. You're doing a fantastic job using the new words and grammar. Now let's take a look at the reading section of your class notes. This section is all about living a healthy life.
Reading is such an important part of learning English.
Right.
It helps you learn new words, see how grammar is used in context, and it exposes you to different writing styles.
The reading passage in your notes talks about the importance of eating well, exercising regularly, and getting enough sleep.
Let's review some of the key takeaways from the passage.
Okay.
First, it emphasized that eating fresh fruits and vegetables gives your body energy.
Remember all those food words we talked about earlier?
Yes.
Like bananas, avocados, rice, beans, salad, and potatoes. Those are all great choices for healthy eating.
The passage also highlighted the importance of drinking enough water. Water helps your body function properly and stay hydrated.
What about exercise? What did the passage say about the benefits of exercise?
It mentioned that people who walk every day tend to stay stronger. Walking is a simple but effective form of exercise that's accessible to most people.
Even a short walk each day can make a big difference in your health.
Yes.
And finally, the passage talked about the importance of getting enough sleep. When you sleep, your body and mind can rest and recharge.
Now, let's look at the comprehension questions that followed the reading passage. The first question asked, what gives the body energy?
And the answer is, of course, fresh fruits and vegetables. They provide essential vitamins and nutrients.
The second question asked why drinking water is important.
We know that water is crucial for hydration and for many bodily functions.
And the final question asked what people do to stay stronger.
The passage told us that walking every day can help people maintain their strength.
It seems like you both understand the main points from the reading passage. Now, before we move on, let's talk a little bit more about the benefits of reading for language learning.
When you read, you encounter new words in context, which helps you understand their meaning more easily.
You also get to see how grammar rules are applied in real-life writing, which can improve your own writing skills.
And don't forget about the cultural insights you can gain from reading. Books, articles, and stories can teach you about different customs, beliefs, and perspectives.
So, Thiani and Vanessa, we encourage you to read as much as you can in English. It's a fantastic way to improve your vocabulary, grammar, and overall understanding of the language.
The final section of your class notes is about idiomatic expressions.
Yes.
These can be a little tricky, but they're also fun to learn.
Idioms are phrases that have a figurative meaning that's different from the literal meaning of the words.
For example, kick the bucket doesn't actually mean to kick a bucket.
Right.
It means to die.
Exactly. Idioms can be confusing at first, but once you understand them, they can make your English sound more natural and fluent.
Unfortunately, there weren't any specific idiomatic expressions lifted in your notes for this lesson.
That's okay. We can still talk about why they're important and give you some examples.
So why are idiomatic expressions important to learn?
Well, native English speakers use them all the time in everyday conversation. If you're not familiar with them, you might miss out on the full meaning of what someone is saying.
It's like learning a secret code that unlocks a deeper level of understanding.
Let's look at an example.
Okay.
One common idiom is piece of cake.
Okay.
If someone says this test was a piece of cake, they don't mean they actually ate a piece of cake.
It means the test was very easy for them.
Right. It's a way of saying something was simple or effortless.
Another idiom is to let the cat out of the bag. This doesn't mean someone is literally releasing a cat from a bag.
It means to reveal a secret, often accidentally.
These idioms are so interesting. I can see why learning them would be helpful for understanding English more fully.
As you continue learning English, start paying attention to idiomatic expressions you encounter. Try to guess their meaning from the context, and then look them up to confirm your understanding.
That's a great tip. Now, before we wrap up today's review, let's take a quick look at your class stats. These stats give us a snapshot of your progress in different areas of English.
According to your stats, Thione, your vocabulary has grown by 12 words. That's amazing.
You now have a total vocabulary of 90 words. Keep up the great work.
And Vanessa, your oral fluency and speech engagement have also improved significantly. You're speaking more confidently and for longer periods of time.
It's fantastic to see you both making such great progress. Remember to review your class notes carefully and complete the homework assignment.
And don't forget, in the next class, we'll be diving deeper into plurals, the elephant rule, and negative sentences in the third person singular.
Before we say goodbye, I wanted to share a funny story about my own experience learning a new language. When I was first learning Spanish, I accidentally told someone I was pregnant instead of saying I was full after a big meal.
Oh no, that's a classic language learning blunder. It must have been a little embarrassing, but it's a good reminder that we all make mistakes along the way.
Exactly. The most important thing is to learn from our mistakes and keep practicing. So, Thione and Vanessa, keep up the great work. We're so proud of your progress.
We're excited to see you in the next class.
And before you go, think about this. We talked about healthy habits for our bodies, but what are some healthy habits we can practice to take care of our minds? Till next time.